Greetings, adventurers. Hi, it's Eric. Today I am here to show you how to play Duelgeon. So you can see our lovely setup here, but I will get you there in just a second. First thing you're going to do after you open your box is separate the cards by their backings. We have three different types of loot: rare, uncommon, and commons. You're going to separate those. Our runes over here are going to be separated by the levels of the monsters. So we have levels 1, 2, and 3, as well as some separate runes, traps, and things like that. You're going to put those aside. Our characters as well have 5 cards. They have a health potion, their regular character card, a dual-sided health counter, and a starter land, as well as their vault card that has a character aid on the back of that. You're going to select one of the 4 characters here. You're going to take all of that, including their 2 player cubes and their dice. You can set it up like here. We'll give you an example on screen. You can either match your heart with a 10 to a 10, or you can use one of your cubes to track that. You're going to put your 2 dice on your characters, put your vault off to the side, and make sure that your character and your health potion are both face up. You'll be able to tell because the art on the one side will be vivid and vibrant, and the other one will be full grayscale. After that, you are going to build the Duelgeon by finding the hordes for each level. So we have levels 1, 2, and 3, and on the back of that, you're going to see a diagram here. We'll throw it up on screen for you, and that's going to show you the placement of these ruins. Then you're going to take all the ruins off to the side, all the traps that we'll be using for each of the rest of the levels, as well as the monsters, shuffle all those together, and place them down according to the level 1 backing, as shown here. Once you've done that, you can flip it face up in the middle, and then depending on where you're seated, you're going to put your starting hero land in one of the 4 corners listed on the back of the card. Everything else will be face down, and then you're pretty much set up and ready to play. So if you want, what you can do is what we've done here, and we'd like to take our loot piles and separate them just so it's easier for players on both sides of the board to get to it. You might also notice that some of these ruins have a extra skull up here. These are mini bosses or false mini bosses. There's 2 in each level that are real, and there's 2 that are false. So sometimes you might be moving to one and it might not be what you think it is, or if you're someone like the wizard, you might be able to use your skill and abilities to figure out what it is ahead of time. Okay, adventurers, so after you've done that, you're ready to start playing. In order to do that, everyone is going to take their 2 dice, roll them, and add the numbers together. Whoever has the highest number will get to go first. A couple things to note about this game. As even on the starting land here, we're going to start by drawing a loot. So you could have 5 loot total. Think of it like a backpack. You can have unveiled loot that's in your hand or face down loot, but you can only ever have 5 total. If you have more than that, you're going to have to start dropping it. You have a health potion that can only be used once per level, unless you successfully steal from the boss or kill another player, in which case it'll get refreshed. And you also have a character skill that can only be used once per level. There is no way to refresh this currently, but, you know, who knows what's going to happen in the future. Playing the turn is pretty simple. It's basically a movement, an action, and then a loot. Since I've started here, what I'm going to do is move first. I'm going to choose one of these 3 ruins, flip it over to reveal it. In this case, it's a monster, so I'd be engaged in combat. We'll go over that in a second. But that would be considered my action. If there was another player here, my action could be to attack them. Sometimes your action is just trading or getting hit by a trap. You don't really have a choice, and you're not sure most of the time what it's going to be. After that, I would get loot. Let's say if I kill this monster, at the end of that, I'll be picking it up. If not, I would just resolve whatever's on that ruin, and then that would finish my turn. We would then move clockwise to the next player, and they would repeat those same steps. Now we'll get a little more into combat and how that works. So, on to combat. As we discussed before, you have a movement, an action, and a looting. So my movement led to this action. I don't have a choice since it is a monster. I'm going to fight it, and I'm going to do that by rolling both dice. It is a 1 and a 2, so the smaller number, we call this our attack dice. The smaller number is going to go towards the enemy, and the higher number will go to me. In this case, I'll throw an example on the screen so you can see it, but it's only a level 1 monster, so it only has 2 health. I'm already doing 2 damage, and it's only doing 1. That's fairly optimal in this case, but now is when we can be able to use the loots. If this was a 1-to-1 roll, I'd be able to unveil a loot, as we call it, flipping it over, and adding either the top or the bottom to my roll. If there is no or on the loot, that just means that the point value is greater than other loots, and we'll get to that in a second as well. But for combat references, you're going to have the ability to use 2 different abilities or loots from your hand. So that could be your health potion, that could be your character ability, that could be your loot card. The turn order that resolves in is whoever is attacking. So in this case, me, I have to go first. Since no one is adjacent to me, none of the other players can interfere with my rolls or my playing, so I could just do automatically. In this case, I would probably use my scry ability as the wizard and check both of these mini boss runes to see which, if any, is the real mini boss. Okay. Once again, that is a secret. No one else sees that. If you choose not to use the ability to pass instead, that still counts as one of your uses. So it's only 2 no matter what. Now, once again, let's say someone was adjacent to me. I would go first. They would have an option to react. Back to me, back to them to finish it out. Since in this case there's no one there, I'm just going to let this go through. I will do 2 damage to the monster, killing it. I would then grab the monster card. As it is dead, the essence that it provided to the ruins is no longer there. It's going to go directly into my vault. And then I'm going to draw the loot that is specified on the bottom of the card, in this case another common, making sure no one else sees that. All right, so I would also make sure to take my damage, and that would resolve my turn. I would then be passing the turn over to the player clockwise from me. So in this case, the rogue would go next. They're going to do a similar option. They'd reveal it. This is one of the ruins that'll persist through all 3 of the levels. They'll have a choice. I'll throw it on screen to show you. Fighter would go next. He's going to have a monster combat, and the healer would follow. All right. And once everyone has gone once, taken their turn, that would be 1 round. There are 4 rounds for each level, and after that, the ruins will collapse, and every player will be sent back to their vaults. Every living player will be sent back to their vaults. If at any point in time you do die within the Duelgeon, you will drop all of the loot that you have right where you're at, or if you have more than 5, you'll also have to drop it in the space. So an important thing about your vault and the points is the extraction crystals are how you win the game. Each monster has a value and each loot card has a value. As we mentioned before, you can only have 5 loots, and anytime you finish a level, you can get back to your vault and safely store those or bring them back in and risk them again. Monsters are slightly different. They're always put in your vault immediately, and those are permanent points that you'll have stacked. As mentioned before, since I killed this monster, I removed it, but if I had more than 5 loot and needed to put some loot down here from a discard, that would prevent those ruins from collapsing and players would still be able to move back through them. Since it would be my turn again, I'm going to move forward 1, going diagonal. Another one of the trap ruins. We'll throw it on screen here. So you're going to do what it tells you to do. In this case, I can safely take a common or gamble. You know me. Gambling and losing. So I'll take my damage. Unfortunately, since I decided to risk it, I don't get any rewards from this one. And then we would pass again. So the rogue, maybe wanting to get a little closer, is going to choose this. Moving in. Fighter, same thing. Working towards the middle, perhaps. Who knows? You can never really be sure of someone else's. And let's say our Sork doesn't want the smoke. She's going to go down that way. All right. Once all those have resolved, it'll be my turn again. So I'm going to move to the middle here. We're going to talk about another mechanic. This is our horde in the middle, which is where you're stealing from the boss. Unlike our combat rolls, this is a single D4 that cannot be affected by any of the cards from your hand. And also, unlike the attack rolls, you cannot use any of these skills or abilities. So if I roll in the middle and I get a 4, oh, let's go, automatically going to get 2 of the best loots in the game. Couldn't have gone better. If that, however, happened to be a 3, I'm going to take 3 damage and get a consolation common there. Now, why would you take so much damage? Because the loot is very good. And once again, if you get some very good rares at level 1, you have the risk or choice of bringing back in for multiple levels after you've extracted from the dungeon. Let's say everyone else wants to do the same, so they're just going to start pushing towards the boss. Right? Now, these monsters here would have been removed if these players had killed them. So this would leave some of those collapsed ruins that we were talking about. The other ones will stay here. Players can go back on and re-trigger them if they want to during their turns, if they don't want to get near everyone else. Because once again, if our healer or if our Sork would have gotten to combat here, all of us would have the ability to play these loots from our hand and adjust her stats, right? Oh yeah, let me grab my 2 loots from my boss roll here. All right. Then let's say, so 4th round here. This is the last one before they collapse. I'm just going to push my luck because I'm greedy. Oh, let's go. So, first take, love it. All right, 2 more rares. Drop that. And then since I have now 5 loot, right, 6 in total, I am forced to drop one. Since I did not unveil it yet, it's going to still get unveiled. All dropped loot will be dropped face up directly on the card that it's from. Now, I can't pick that up. I can't store it, but if another player wants to, they can get it and take it out. Now, what I've also done is made myself a target. Because while you can't adjust your dice rolls past a 4 or under a 1, if everyone at this table on their last turn chooses to attack me, there's a good chance that they might be able to kill me if they're working together. And all my precious loot dropped right there for them to just take for themselves. No one can affect your horde rolls. that's completely just luck and randomized. But there are mini bosses that didn't come up in this level, such as here, we'll throw it on screen, where you're going to be rolling attack rolls, and instead of taking the highest dice, you'll combine those two numbers, much like you would at the beginning of the game. In this case, a 2, so I'm not killing anything. Let's say that goes a little better. 5, we can start there. So this is a total of 6 or more. If I'm all the way over here by myself, once again, I can choose the loots play from my hand up to 2, or use my skills or abilities or my health potion. In this case, since I'm already down to 7 health, I might say, all right, I know I'm going to be able to kill this with my next use. I'm going to use this. No one is there to adjust. No one else can play in. If our rogue were here, they have certain skills and abilities, as do other players through the loot, that could affect this roll. So he could say, I'm actually going to play a -2. We'll show you an example here. And we would physically just flip this dice from a 4 to a 2. So instead of that 5, now I'm only doing a 3. I would only have 1 card to respond. There goes my whole plan. Now I'm not going to kill the mini-boss. Sometimes that's the way it goes. So after the 4th round, all players that are still living are going to get extracted to their vaults. So you go back here. What you're going to do is flip over all the remaining ruins, find any of the level 1 monsters that are still left, since we're still on level 1. We're going to remove those from the deck, leaving all the other ruins. We're also going to go back through, so when we initially built this, there was a couple cards that we didn't use. We're going to make sure that we double check those, removing any of the monsters and adding any of the long-lasting ruins. The ones like here, we'll show you some examples on the screen of the ones that stay for the whole level. Any loot that was left in the dungeon gets discarded as well, so we just put that face up next to there. And then you now have the option of storing your loot in your vault. So we'll put a couple examples here showing you the point values and how it works. But the end goal of the game is after 3 levels, whoever has the most points is going to win the game. So you might have something that just has a high point value. You're going to want to store that right away, not letting people know what it is. Either way, let's say I had used multiple loots. They were already face up, or unveiled as we like to call it. As I finish this level, I'm going to go back to full health. I'm going to get my character ability back. I'm going to get my health potion back. And if I had used these and I choose to bring them back in, the ones that I save in my vault are completely safe. No one will be able to take those points. But the 2 that I bring back in with me will get turned face down again to be able to be reused. So there's a good degree of pushing your luck, bringing in things, risk versus reward when it comes at the end of each level, and what you want to bring back into the beginning of the next level. After we've removed everything from here, we're going to take those ruins that work for all 3 levels. We're going to grab our stack of level 2 monsters and our level 2 horde. We're going to remove our level 1 over here. We can put that on top of the monsters. Then we're going to use that to place our new grid. I'll show you an example up top. So we build all this. You reset everything. If you have mini bosses that weren't killed from round 1, those will stay till round 2, as well as to round 3 if they can survive that long. And then once you've had this all set up, you're going to roll your dice again, start from the beginning, through to level 2. You'll repeat that one more time for level 3, and after that, the total scores will be counted, and whoever has the most remaining points is the victor of the Duelgeon. Thanks so much for checking it out, guys, and we hope you love the game.